What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pure Buckets podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing some players whose, I guess you could say, their reputations have sort of fallen off, right? No one really views them in such a high perspective anymore. So, we're discussing that today. It's just me and Cole. So, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. We're going to be doing a lot of recordings because I don't know if you guys, well, you definitely won't know this, but we have to do a good of a bulk session going on probably tonight because certain men are leaving soon for a little hot minute. So,
Yep. You
yeah.
won't see me for a month in new videos,
Yeah.
at least.
So we're trying to get as much videos as we can with Vibin and I. Obviously, well, I'm still going to be here, but, and you might see some Rohan, some Lewis. Obviously, I don't know. I think Lewis is at a movie right now. We're probably going to be recording more videos with him after, hopefully. But for this one, we were like, what is like something like a thing that we could talk about? And we were talking about Westbrook because we were just looking at some tweets or whatever. And then we just kind of came to the topic of players that we think, well, just not even like we, in our opinion, it's just kind of a discussion where like the media or everyone portrays them as kind of falling off in quotes. And I guess we can just start it off with Russell Westbrook then.
Yeah, so, okay. I understand fully that Russell Westbrook was talked about so much. That's fine. I just wanted to look at Russ's whole career, not just this past year as a Laker. I wanted to talk about things that we've seen from Russ over his whole career and what led to his reputation falling off like this. Because nowadays, you ask anyone what they think of Russell Westbrook, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's garbage. He's washed. He's not good anymore," or something along those lines, right? So, okay, let me ask you, what do you think of Russell Westbrook, Cole?
What do I think of him?
You know Russell Westbrook right now.
I think, to be totally honest, like I know we've had multiple moments on this show where you could probably snip me and I'm basically hating on Russell Westbrook, right? But to me, he still has all-star play in him. Like he really does. Like Beastbrook, as much we make fun of Beastbrook as the word, but I think he can still pull off things like a Beastbrook. I think he still has it in him. I just think this is the first time in a system like the Lakers was where he was. It's weird because in OKC he was never by himself. Obviously he had Kevin Durant his whole career, right? The whole time, and he even had James Harden, and then he left and whatever. And then how many years of Russell Westbrook did we get solo?
Let me look real quick.
Was it like 4 years or something? 3 years?
What do you mean by solo?
Like with no Kevin Durant.
Oh, just with okay. Kevin Durant left in what 2016, 2017, or after that, right? No. Before that. So 1, 2, 3 years without KD and OKC.
3 years. In those 3 years, we saw a Westbrook that I guess you could say we haven't really seen. I guess with Kevin Durant, like it's hard. Like it's hard to look at when you just look at numbers because he had this last season with Kevin Durant, he had 23.5 points a game, and then it spiked to where he won his second scoring title with 31.5 points. That's a huge leap, right? He was more on the ball. The boards went up significantly with KD gone. He was more active, I felt like, but that's just that any player is going to be like that. Obviously, when you lose your man, basically, whatever. So then after that, he goes into a role with Houston, pairs up with teammate James Harden. Obviously, things don't go great, but he still has a great season. It's basically, if you just look at numbers wise, we're just looking at numbers. He puts up the same assists and rebounds. It dips from his OKC years, and it averages around what he got here in LA. But the points diff, it's a big points gap. There's still a whole 9-point difference because Westbrook still put up 27 points a game as a Rocket, and believe it or not, it's the third most he's ever averaged in a single season in his entire career. And I think that was partially also because of having James Harden as a playmaker on his team, but also drawing a lot of double teams and stuff like that. And also like him just taking hella shots. But then he goes to Washington. Obviously, he does his triple-double thing. The most assists he's ever averaged in a season in his career. The most rebounds he's ever averaged in a season in his career. And then literally follows it up the next season by going to LA. High hopes, and then everything just falls apart. But that being said, to answer your question, like I said, nobody expected this bad of a season from Russ, right? Exactly. Like we all expected him to be. Obviously, some people expected him to be very similar, which I didn't think was going to be the case because it hardly ever is when you join a team where you go from being a 1A or 1B option to being basically the 3 option. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna go down, I guess, in just in terms of your numbers. But just watching him play obviously was horrible this year. But I think going forward, I was talking to him about this before. It's the first year they had the mesh with this kind of style of play, and at the time Frank Vogel, obviously a very defensive head coach, and which is crazy because were very defensive. That's why the year they won in the bubble, they were like the best defensive team in the league, and then now this previous year they were one of the worst defensive teams in the league. So I think it wasn't working out for Vogel. Because, how can you be a defensive coach but have one of the worst defensive teams in the league, right? But I guess that comes down to players as well. But, yeah, but I think it's just a fresh coach, more meshing in the offseason, a hopeful season for more healthiness from your overall roster, including, more importantly, on your stars, like Davis, and even LeBron had his injury stints here and there. I think Westbrook will perform significantly better than he did last season. Do I think he will be an all-star? No, but do I think he has all-star caliber play still in him? Absolutely.
I fully agree with basically everything you said there. If you like I said, I think one of the most important things you discussed there was regarding Russell Westbrook and the first option thing, first to third option thing. I think Russell Westbrook's play style just isn't the best suited to be the off-ball handler. Like he's gonna be the role he played on the Lakers this year was primary point guard. I'm gonna handle the ball and try to pass it around, that kind of thing. I don't think he is suited for that role.
He's like I feel like he's not being forced into anything. But I feel like he tried to take on a James Harden type of role, and he's not like James Harden.
No, he cannot play the way that James Harden. Like we even slandered James Harden for this, but James Harden's a damn good playmaker. Like he's one of the best playmakers in the league. I don't think Russell Westbrook is that good of a playmaker. He has the numbers, but I wouldn't say IQ-wise he's that good of a playmaker. Because you saw some of the passes and the plays he was making during the Lakers season, which he made a lot of stupid decisions, right? Which a lot of people clowned him for. But I think he will fit better into the team throughout the offseason, right? But I don't think that'll just change fundamentally who he is. Like people in the past have asked him, "Yo, Russ, we need you to fit into a role. We need you to do these things for us to win." Like when he went to Houston, and when he went to less to the Wizards, I guess they never had any contention hopes. But when he went to Houston, a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, how is this gonna work?" Right? There's only one ball.
Yeah.
And they were discussing like we need Russ to play not like how he was playing before, but he needs to be the off-ball guy, right? To play off of someone else, which I don't think Russell Westbrook's capable of doing. And especially in the Lakers system where you have guys like LeBron and AD around you, you're going to have to play around other people. You can't just be like, I'm going to score. I want to be that guy. And I think he needs to get himself out of that mentality if he wants a chance at making this work.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at finding. Oh, here it is. I found the stat I was wanting. Yeah, Russ had. Well, it's interesting because we always talk about I feel like this season more than ever we highlighted Westbrook's turnovers, even though statistically he had way less turnovers than he did in previous seasons. But I think that's because I feel like the more he had the ball a lot less this season, and he still put up a lot of turnovers compared to previous seasons where he had the ball a lot more in his hands. And that obviously, anytime you have the ball in your hands, you're gonna equate to having more turnovers, right? That goes for even if you're a superstar, it doesn't matter. That's why James Harden has a lot of turnovers, obviously, when he was with Houston. Just dudes have. That's why who's the all-time leader in turnovers?
LeBron, right?
Isn't it LeBron?
I think it's LeBron.
Exactly, right? So, and that's just because bro has the ball. He has the ball, okay? But with the Westbrook thing, I was just looking to see because they count your turnovers, how many of them were a bad pass or how many of them were a lost ball. And 67 turnovers were by lost ball and 190 were by bad pass.
Jeez.
Which, I mean, it sounds like a lot, which that's 22 less bad pass turnovers than he had last year with Washington.
That Washington year was so strange, dude. No lie.
He was insane, like
No, he
numbers
was in the
wise.
second half.
We have.
Second half, but he was injured for that first half, so you can't blame that on him that much.
I mean, he still played 65 games.
Yeah. I'm not saying he like the injury was like so he didn't play. I'm just saying like it debilitated him, made him worse. That kind of injury, like James Harden hamstring type stuff in the playoffs.
It's hard.
Anyway, so what do you think is Russ's future in the league? What do you think he goes from here?
Well, I think they definitely want to make it work in LA. That's the step number one. And I feel like I can't really. It's hard to gauge future because when you're on a team like the Lakers, I feel like are a franchise that is so different than like every other franchise in the league. Would you agree with that? Like just the way they operate and the history and everything about it.
Hollywood.
Exactly. And so I feel like their success, like they're lined up for a lot, like roster wise, they're lined up for success, I guess. Just because, I mean, they have the star talent, right? It depends on where the Lakers can go. If the Lakers do well, what is considered well though for the Lakers next year? Is it just chip or bust at this point, or what do we?
No, for the Lakers to get, hey, listen, the standard that the Lakers play on is like freaking unbelievable. Like for them to do anything meaningful, that it's chip or bust. Exactly. That's what LeBron is too.
So if they get to the finals next year and lose, not like a game 7, like we're talking like a proper loss, like a 5 or 6 game.
Yeah.
Is that considered a failure season?
That is a failure season.
Would it be considered
to Los Angeles?
But would it be considered a failure season for Russ?
To be honest, for Russ, it just depends on what he did.
But because the reason
if
bring it up,
he was the reason.
Yeah.
Then obviously, then it's on him.
The reason I bring it up is because you asked me about his future, right? And the Lakers, I feel like, are a team that it's hard to see. It's hard to see the Lakers ever like doing a proper rebuild. I feel like they had a couple years where they had like Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle. They were all on the same roster. It was for a couple years, but then LeBron said, "I'm there," and then it shifted way back. So the Lakers obviously want to win. I feel like they don't want to go into a rebuild anytime soon. So
yeah, no, they do
if
not.
We're talking chip or bust, and if their next season, if they determine as a management that having Russ on the team is never going to equate to a ring, then I think he just gets traded because he just did his player option. No, I know, but I'm saying, well, not even he's not even traded. But he's just a free agent next year after this season because he accepted his player option, and then he's eligible, I think, with the Lakers for a 4-year, $221 million extension.
He's not.
That's like over $50 million a year. Okay, that's $55 million a year, but obviously they go exponentially. They don't go like they're not like stagnant contracts or anything. But I don't know. It's hard to see because it depends on how the team succeeds next year. Like if they get first round bounced, like is Westbrook gone?
If they get first round bounced, the media explosion that's gonna happen. It won't even compare to what happened last year.
Won't even compare.
Like this is a new team. Like the only excuse they could possibly have for a first round bounce is if all 3 stars are injured. There you go.
No, but what if they play like a really good team?
It doesn't matter.
Like there's other teams though that I feel like are better than the Lakers. Like a lot of teams.
No, there are a lot of teams that are better than the Lakers. Here's the thing. When you play for the Lakers, what is Los Angeles used to? Championships, right? Yep. They've had
most rings in the modern era.
They have the majority of the top 10 greatest players of all time on their team at some point.
Yeah.
Right? They are used to stars. They are used to winning. That's why their expectations are always. Whenever you go to a big market team, you go to Boston, you go to the Lakers, you are expected to win.
I was like, it's crazy when the Pure Buckets podcast consensus top 4, 3 of the top 4 players all played for the Lakers at some point.
Exactly. They play on a whole different playing tier, like expectation wise, than any other team in the league. I think they have the highest expectations because with the Lakers, plus they also have LeBron James, right? LeBron is quote unquote, not quote unquote. I agree. I think he's the GOAT, but to a lot of people, they're not convinced, right? A lot of people think, okay, a lot of people say that LeBron's the GOAT. I don't believe it. So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna get bounced in the first round again? And he's not the GOAT, right? Those kind of
Yeah,
arguments
yeah,
put
yeah.
so much pressure on that roster. It just the only way they ever make those expectations is by winning a championship.
So where do you think Russ's future is going to be then? Or how's it going to play out?
I don't
Obviously,
think
it's
this
very
will
hard to
work
tell, but
this season. I don't think it'll work. I don't have much faith in it at all.
okay.
I do think they will not win the championship. I would probably bet money that they won't win the championship.
Yeah, agreed.
But what happens after this season is Russ most likely, when no one's trading for that 40-something million contract, right? So that's not happening.
Well,
But he's gonna be released, kind of like they're just gonna let him go.
well, I'm telling you, if they
He's a free
after
agent.
they finish next season, he's going free agency.
Yeah, no, he's just gone. They're just not gonna resign him. He'll just go wherever.
So you don't think the Lakers would have re-signed him at all?
Unless it's like, even had a slight bit of working, they'd resign him for like 10 mil a year, bro.
But
20
he's
mil,
not going to
something like that.
accept that. He's not going to accept the 10
Exactly.
mil.
He won't accept that, so there's a good chance he just leaves. I think he's gonna go to some bum team that gives him 30 million a year, and
A
he goes
bum
and just drops
team?
triple double.
But
Yeah,
I
some
don't feel
garbage
like he
team.
wants to do that. That's the whole reason he went to LA, I felt like, was because he wanted to not do that anymore.
I feel like a lot of that was just like LeBron pushing for that. Not
Well,
just,
I feel like it. I mean, no, but Vivin, they're grown men, right? If LeBron is telling you, "Yo, you're coming here," but you literally just don't want to play there, then you're just not gonna play there. You just be like, oh, I don't want to go there.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Russ won't have the choice. No contender is gonna want to sign that guy. Think about it. What contender who has a working, functioning team. Like, let's give an example. The Warriors, right? I know they would never do
No,
that,
they
but like
would
just this
never.
example. No,
No.
it's just an example, right? So you have a contending team that we know will contend for a few years. Why would they give even a thought of
I have a
signing? They wouldn't even
question.
give an interview.
Would the
So-
Celtics take Russ?
No contender will take him. I'm telling you, no contender takes Russell Westbrook. The Celtics would be stupid to mess with what they have going on right now by signing Russell Westbrook. It just messes up their whole thing.
No, I would
He's-
agree. I think it would mess it up.
The
but it
basketball
depends on how
style he
changes his
plays.
game. Exactly.
that's the
It
thing,
comes
yeah.
down to how he. I think, dude, because like we're expecting the way that this is being portrayed right now to us as viewers of the game is that this next version of Russ that we're gonna see next season under Darvin Ham is going to be the most different type of Russ that we've ever seen for his entire career. That's what we're expecting. Like we're seeing a different version of himself. That's what we're being told basically. And so that's what it comes down to. And if he plays a certain way that isn't like his normal way, I guess you could say, that a lot of other teams would begin to value, then I feel like his like leverage goes up heavily.
My prediction is I'm seeing him on a team like the
Don't
maybe
say
the
it.
Hornets wouldn't sign him.
Yeah, exactly.
Hornets wouldn't sign him. No, they wouldn't sign him.
Yeah.
Some team like the Pacers or the Magic, bro. I don't know. Some bum team like that would give him a contract, so they have like ticket sales.
Or even like San Antonio now that they're completely tanking.
Yeah, that too. Or the Knicks maybe.
He might. Honestly, I could see him. Well, the Knicks are doing everything under the sun to get Jalen Brunson for God knows why, but.
Is it really? That's so
yeah.
funny.
All right. Well, enough about Westbrook. You want to move on to our second person, our player of topic here?
Yeah. So okay. So the second person we wanted to discuss. I can't say his reputation has fallen off as hard as Russell
He
Westbrook
has a way better career, obviously, than Russ
Exactly.
has.
An actual, like, you could actually say this is a good player that most teams would want, right? Chris Paul. So we're talking about Chris Paul now. So when we say his reputation has fallen off, we are not trying to say that Chris Paul's a bad player. We're not really trying to. We're trying to discuss mainly what I see it as is his playoff failures throughout his career. I think what Chris Paul has the record for the most blown 2-0 leads or 2-1 leads. I think it's 2-0.
I don't know.
One of those. I think he has a record for that, and it's pretty astonishing. Like he's old and he's played a lot of playoff series, and having the record for the most blown 2-0 series is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
We saw the worst playoff failure of his career this last season.
I think that was by far the worst.
Yeah.
Not the first,
he's-
obviously not the first round. The second round against Dallas.
Yeah, the second round. The first round he was balling. He was chilling. He
Yeah,
he played
against New
well.
Orleans, he played fantastic. I literally watched
Exactly.
him on the TV take over the entire fourth quarter in one of the games.
Yeah, I remember everyone was like, "Holy crap, Chris Paul's crazy. The Suns are crazy. They can contend." And then they go to the next round, and just what happened? What happened? What happened to Chris Paul? Where'd he go? He disappeared. He straight up disappeared. And that final game, we watched it live, and I still don't think I've ever seen something as awful as that
Okay,
from a
well,
team.
okay, here we go. Let's break it down. Game 1 against Dallas, he put up 19 points, which is that's actually kind of
Fine.
above or normal
Yeah.
for him because he's a He
No
only
expectation
had
of sport.
3 assists in that game. But he did shoot very efficiently, over 50% from the floor, and they ended up winning that game at home. He didn't really have to do much in that game because it was an overall effort from the starters. Ayton dropped 25, Booker dropped 23, Cam Johnson off the bench, a potential 6th man of the year candidacy, dropped 17. He didn't have to do a whole lot. That's the whole point of him being on that Suns roster. Like, he could facilitate very well, and the Suns have a talent. There's a reason that the Suns were the number 1 seed and the number 1 team in the entire league going into the playoffs last year. Is because of how deep their roster is. So we go to game 2. Phoenix once again, obviously at home, and despite Luka's 35-point game, we see a Chris Paul masterclass in this one. 28 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. Shoots amazing again. 11 of 16 from the floor, even better than the last one. Only taking 2 threes, by the way. And then another good game from Booker, who dropped 30. It was a very, very solid game again, and the Suns now have a blowout. They're up 2-0 now. They're up 2-0.
Whoa, and Lucas said, is that when he said it?
What?
His
What did he say?
his quote.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't even remember what the quote was.
So Luca, at some point when the Suns were up, they said, "Everybody acted tough when they up." Everybody acted tough when they. That's just true. That's true.
Okay, whatever. So those first 2 games, though, Chris Paul, like, we're talking about the series. Everyone's saying, oh, he had a bad series. Those first 2 games, he played great. The first game, he didn't have to do too much, but still performed well. The second game, he turned up. Now we go to Dallas. He shoots 5 of 9, which you're like, oh, he shot efficiently. But why is Chris Paul only shooting the ball 9 times? I feel like he could shoot the ball a lot more, right? And because of that, he only ended up with 12 points, and 4 assists. And they had a loss in that game. Not to mention, obviously, Devin Booker only shot the ball. They didn't really shoot the ball that much at all. Dallas had 14 more shots in the game. I think it was a rebounding diff. 45 for Phoenix. Oh, wait, no. Wait, how did the Phoenix had way more rebounds? Had 11 more rebounds in that game, and they just put up 14
What says the
less
diff in that
shots.
one?
That's interesting. I'm at Vivian. You know what I'm saying? Like, a team had 11 more rebounds, but shot the ball 14 less times.
I wonder if that's from just like
And then on similar free throw attempts, by the way.
lockdown defense, or like what are we looking at? Blocks, turnovers.
No, not
Like,
really.
turnovers.
Turnovers. 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turned the ball over 9 more times.
That'll get you. That'll get you.
Yeah, but they only ended
They
up
do
putting
that.
up 94 in that game. An offensive disaster class. Nobody on that team, on that star-studded team, put up more than 20 points. And you know it's bad. No hate, no disrespect at all on this player, but you know it's bad when your leading scorer for that game was Jay Crowder. They just didn't do enough.
Big taken.
Yeah, and then we go to game 2. Dallas ties it up. Booker has a great game with 35 points. Chris Paul, that was the game he only played 23 minutes, which is not a lot. And he only scored 5 points and he had 5 boards and 7 assists. He only shot the ball 4 times in that game, Vipin. 4 times. I don't know if that was the
Second best
injury
player.
game. I don't remember if that was the. Did he
I
have an
feel like that was the
injury?
injury game. I think he had an injury. Was it the eye injury or something?
I don't remember what it was, but I know there's no reason for him to only play 23 minutes. So I
He was
think
injured.
something
Injury
was
is a
going
good
on.
excuse. Yeah.
But in
Just by- no, just standard, they
in
wouldn't do that.
23 minutes, he only shot the ball 4 times.
That is pretty criminal.
Whatever.
Even for Chris Paul, that is low.
So now at this point, all the home teams have won so far in the series. They go back to Phoenix. What do you think that means? Phoenix wins it. They had a blowout. Not even close. Chris Paul dropped, again, a disaster class again, but Booker dropped 20, Ayton dropped 20, Devin Booker dropped 28, 8 and 20. Booker only dropped 7 points. Chris Paul only dropped 7 points, sorry, with 10 assists. See, so he's diming it. But Chris Paul is not having the offensive games that he should. This is like a third straight game where he's shooting less than 10 field goal attempts. He's just basically diming it, and then it goes from there. Then they go to Dallas. They get blown out again. It's a 27. Now we go to Game 7. Chris Paul, by the way, in that game, 13 points on 7 shots. And then, there we go. And then it's the infamous Game 7. Do you remember that game, Vivin?
I remember watching it on TV. We turned the TV on and we looked at the score. And it didn't look real. It didn't look real.
It did not look real.
I was like, something's got to be wrong, right? And I look at it, I was like, oh my god.
Phoenix at halftime was down 30 points.
It was such a horrible performance that the Twitter had to write an apology letter to the fans.
It was that actually, you brought that up. I totally forgot about that. I kind of want to burst out laughing right now, but
like, dude, I've seen teams lose before, and then they're like just final in whatever city.
Yeah, they just say final with a period.
Score. But writing an apology letter,
no,
but that's how you did terrible. It was like
really
long
bad.
too. Like, bro, that was terrible. And okay, break it down. So what was the performances there by the starters and all that?
For the
Especially
Suns, or
the main stars. The Suns.
Yeah. Well, actually, just to be interesting about the Mavericks, I actually did not know that for that game. So Luka dropped 35. Dinwiddie off the bench dropped 30. Brunson dropped 24. And then after after that, those 3. The next highest scorer had 6 points. It was just those 3. No, but Dinwiddie off the bench.
Oh.
30-point game off the bench.
That's actually crazy, only.
So, yeah, but that was... I didn't even know that. There was only 3 dudes that actually scored all the points. Whatever. So then... But you look at the Phoenix side. Chris Paul had finished with 10 points and 4 assists. 4 games in a row in this series, he shot the ball less than 10 times in a game. Less than 10 times. That's kind of inexcusable.
I think it's his mentality for that happening, or just like...
I don't think it's a mentality thing.
It's just play style. Like, I feel like we know Chris Paul to be like the pass first kind of guy, but in the past before, when he's needed to, he's taken over and just
we've seen it all the time. We've seen it all the time.
When it's needed, he's like, okay, well, my turn to score, and he does it.
I think the Dallas Mavericks defense is very underlooked. I think that played a role. That's also just a common denominator, right? Like, you think about it, it's like, okay, well, why is Chris Paul taking so few shots? Why is he like, he's still efficient? He's shooting 50% like every game and in the series. Why is he not taking enough shots? Probably because he's getting clamped as soon as they reach half court. That's why he's passing it a lot. Whatever, but in that game, 10 points, 4 assists. Obviously, Devin Booker had a disaster class, shot 3 of 14, only had 11 points. The whole team shot horribly. They shot 38% from the floor. Where Dallas hit 19 threes in that game, by the way. So, it was a disaster. But, okay, so we broke down that whole series, right? And the reason we're breaking down this series in particular is because we just said in the beginning, Chris Paul is a very, very respectable player. I have him in my top 30 players of all time. Vivin, you have him in there?
Probably. I'd say you'd be there.
I think he finished in top 30 all time in our when we did.
He's he's a top 5 point guard of all time, right? He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. We know what he like. If you look at his career accolades, it's crazy, right? He's a 12-time All-Star, a 6-time steals champ, 5 times assist champ, 11-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defense. That's crazy.
You know how good you have to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when you don't have a ring?
Like, that's how you know this man is literally one of the best point guards of all time. No debate, right? But when this happens so often, him blowing leads like this in the playoffs, it's just, you start to think about it, like, how does this happen every single time? Some are injuries, others are bad performances.
I was like, because you can at least get lucky and then have a breakthrough.
Exactly.
Maybe that was the previous year though when they made it to the finals.
Maybe that was, which just kind of sucks for them because I think their championship window.
You know that was the first time I believe Chris Paul ever reached even the Western Conference Finals, right?
Yeah, because his year. No, that's not true. Houston.
Oh, Houston. That's right.
Houston. Besides Houston, yeah. In all of his Clippers days, they never made a conference finals. Would you believe that's crazy to me?
The Clippers have still never made the finals.
I don't even think they made the conference finals ever.
No, they
bro.
have. Because that was when
When?
it was Suns versus Clippers in the conference finals with Paul George.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was the one time. Yeah, but if you look at his clip, if you look at Chris Paul's Clippers days, this is when he was at the peak of his career, I'd say. Right? Here's his stats. Is what he would average. He'd average 19 points a game, 11 assists, 2.5 steals a game. That's crazy. That's crazy. He'd be playing hella efficient too. 37% from three, 47-ish% from the field. That's such a good player. And his defensive rating's 102. That is a player any team would die to have. That's a superstar right there.
He is a superstar.
He is a superstar. But when you go to the playoffs every single year, and you are known for having the most blown 2-0 leads in the history of the NBA, what's gonna happen to your reputation? Just gonna crash and burn. No one's doubting Chris Paul's a good player.
They were up 2-0 in that series, and they ended up losing 4 out of the next 5 games to Dallas.
It's unbelievable. Like unlike Westbrook, no one's doubting that Chris Paul is a good player. No one's doing that. But we're doubting his playoff competency. Like, we're doubting that he could ever get it done when it's needed to. He could pull up and be like, all right, it's my time to win. Let's do it. Just hasn't done that before.
Where do you think, like, how would you compare him to Harden?
Okay, so he is an obvious, like, his play style is different. Well, depends on what kind of Harden we're talking about.
Not even in terms of play style. I'm talking about like about like playoff success and just overall success.
To be honest, it's pretty similar, no? Like, they both have had bad playoff performances plus, like, just luck in the playoffs, right? They've both played against good teams and got destroyed. And they've also both been on good teams, but neither has ever broken through to win a championship. So, you think it's a mentality thing? Like, you think both players are similar in the way that they lack that kind of mentality to be like, I will do absolutely everything I could possibly ever do to destroy my opponent and win a chip.
I feel like.
Do you see that from James Harden? I don't think I see that.
But here's the thing, right? You watched that James Harden video, right?
Yes, I did.
Remember the part where he shouldn't have played in that playoff series when they were down, I think, or I don't remember if they were up or down.
He still played, no?
And he decided to play through an injury that is a normal return time of like 6 to 8 weeks. It was a grade 2 hamstring strain.
Yeah.
He decided to play through that. So clearly he has some desire. And the whole reason he wanted to get out of Houston was because he had a desire to win.
That is true. But we've seen what have we seen so far?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean he doesn't want to win. If James Harden was perfectly healthy, bro, people forget, bro. Brooklyn Nets James Harden was actually kind of good.
He was good for that first part when he was in Brooklyn. Like, he was good. He was an MVP candidate.
Season, that first one.
He was an MVP candidate
when they went on to face Milwaukee. Yeah, the whole that part of the season.
Because back then people weren't questioning if James Harden was still James Harden. He was definitely still James Harden.
You know, the Nets were up 2-0 in that series over the Bucks.
The Milwaukee one. Was it that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. That one's blowing that too.
Yep. Same thing as they ended up losing 4 out of the next 5. Obviously, Kyrie went down in Game 4.
Which is more like whose fault? Like, the loss. Is the Suns' loss more because of Chris Paul than the Nets' losses or the Sixers' loss was for James Harden?
Say it again?
So would you say the blame can you put more on Chris Paul for the Suns losing than the blame on James Harden for the Sixers losing the last playoff series? Who gets more blame, basically?
Who gets
for
more
what happened?
blame? To be honest with you, I'd probably say Chris Paul, only because I feel like the expectations for James Harden, for some reason, because I don't know, people had this crazy expectation for James Harden to be like Houston James Harden in the playoffs or something like that. That's not who. Even Joel Embiid, his teammate, said he's not. That's not who he is anymore.
That's not him anymore.
He literally said that. So he's trying to, and he's still. I mean, he still obviously was going through like some hamstring things. I feel like, but yeah, I don't know. It was just.
And still getting integrated to a brand new team.
Chris Paul was perfect all year. He was great in the first
Fact.
round. Second round, absolutely, it just got tanked by Dallas.
I think he had one like minor injury in the second round. Let me go look.
I think you're right. I think he had like a little, but again, like these little injuries, they can actually matter a lot.
Yeah. Let me see. He had a left. What the?
Wait, I have breaking news. I need to bring this up because I'm actually pissed off right now.
Oh, what's up?
Miles Bridges arrested for felony domestic violence.
Yo, what? You serious? Oh, you are serious? Holy. Damn.
Bro, can my team have any normal players on it? Can we have
Why
normal
does your
players?
team always have the wife beaters? Who else got arrested on your team? I don't even know.
Well, remember, Trez got caught for some weed stuff.
Oh yeah.
Freaking
Got caught for
PJ
that.
Washington is not. He's not like legal. It's not like arrested, but PJ Washington is caught up with horrible stuff with like this woman, and it's just oh, what? Can we have normal team, please, man?
Oh, I remember the PJ Washington stuff. That stuff was crazy.
But now, okay, now we got a dude that's wanting a bag. Is Michael Jordan gonna sit down with his brother and say, "I'm gonna give you your $100 million"?
He's gonna look at Twitter and be like, "Yo,
We might. I would. Bro, I actually like
offer this
Miles
to
Bridges
you."
too. I loved him so much, bro. Seeing his play, he's so exciting, bro.
What
His
is he doing?
dunks. Oh my god,
And then he goes and does this.
bro. Why is he in Los Angeles?
Why is he doing this?
Oh
Why can't
my
people just be
God.
normal, bro? I don't get it. Like, it can't be that hard to not just hurt somebody, right?
Bro, the Hornets are taking so many L's recently. I just can't.
Man, I hope. Man, I don't even know.
Whatever. All right, back to topic. Sorry, I just had to bring
Yeah.
that up because it is NBA related, so we're good.
Comments. All right, we're on like the Chris Paul injury, right? Okay.
Yeah, you talking about, well, yeah, because we talked about obviously Harden had the injury. In these little injuries, I think are overlooked and they can matter a lot. Like Embiid, you remember how Embiid was played through like those orbital fractures and all that stuff?
Yeah, that definitely that gets to you, dude.
But I don't think it
Like-
was the same. If he was fully healthy, we could be talking about a different outcome.
True. Oh, okay. You can't always. No one's ever gonna be fully healthy. Like no team is ever gonna be fully healthy.
No, yeah.
There's always something going on. So, still, I think I put more blame on Chris Paul because James Harden just got to this team. He's not even fully integrated. He didn't have the full. Like he hasn't been here for 2 years. Like Chris Paul has been. I put more blame on Chris Paul for sure. That this
Yeah.
like, a large part of this loss was on him and Booker. I put more on him because he's supposed to be the leader of this team.
Hmm.
Like he's definitely a leader. Right? I don't think Booker is the leader of this team. Chris Paul's got like the leadership, right?
Yeah, he has
So-
the experience and everything.
Yeah, I want to think. Yeah, so I put a lot of that blame on him. I think. Well, so what would you say? What do you think?
About what again?
Like who got more blame?
Yeah, I remember I said it was Chris Paul. I think just
Oh,
for,
okay, yeah.
just for this series, if we're talking overall playoffs failures, obviously I guess we could say it's James Harden because obviously we did the deep dive into like the clutch thing or whatever like that. But there's some
Yeah.
unlucky and there's some obviously injury stuff. I don't really remember. To be honest with you, I don't really remember the Chris Paul Clippers years in terms of playoffs. I just remember obviously they never got to the Western Conference Finals, and I feel like that speaks for itself, right?
That just isn't enough. Like, if your team is good, and if your players are good, you will at least reach a conference finals. Like the best Rockets team the past 20 years
Yeah.
made the conference finals, right? They lost to the best team ever. So you can at least make it that far. And the fact that they never did, I think it could be Clippers curse, could be Chris Paul, injuries, lots of things going on.
The 5 times that Chris Paul lost, wait, there's 6 of them actually. The 6 times Chris Paul lost in the second round was twice against the Spurs, one against the a Durant Westbrook Thunder team. The following year was in Game 7 against James Harden's Rockets. Then the 2019 Warriors, and then just recently the Mavericks. The 2 times he won was in Houston where they played Utah, and then last year when they played Denver. So,
A fantastic team in Houston.
Yeah.
And yeah, this I said this specific one is mostly on him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
But what would you say is Chris Paul's future in this league?
a little question here to wrap it up. His future. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about the future of somebody who's 37 years old. I don't even know how long he's gonna play. How long do you think he'll play? Is the first question. Like, is he gonna play for like another 3 years or so? Like, are we talking about like a 40-year-old that's gonna be playing, or what?
He's playing until 40.
So if Chris Paul has another 3 years, first question, I'll ask you a question. If he only plays for 3 more years, is he gonna win a chip?
No, he's done. This team is also done.
But
Because
is
they
he gonna
also
stay in
have.
Phoenix though?
I think he might retire here. I'd believe that. I don't think unless he goes ring chases on some contender as like a bench player or something.
He still has 3 more years on his contract, by the way.
I have a feeling he'll just retire here. In Phoenix, keep trying to get his jersey retired here.
Oh,
now.
he has 3 more years. So after 3 years, which is in Phoenix, then he'll be like 40 years old.
I think that's when he might sign like a small, like a tiny contract after that for like another year maybe, and then call it quits. So yeah, he doesn't have much time left in the league, and I don't think he's winning a championship
So
ever.
well, there's his future then. You think he's 3 more years and he's not gonna win a chip?
To be honest, but like
You think he'll make another finals at least?
No.
Or you don't think the Suns will ever go back to the finals?
Suns will never go back to the.
You don't think the Suns are gonna go back to the finals? But is it because of just because as the roster currently is, or is it like an Ayton leading thing?
Right now, as the roster is, I don't even think if they could. They're not keeping Aiden, I don't think.
And apparently they're not
He's
keeping
up
Jay
issues.
Crowder either.
Yeah, so their team's a bit of a struggle right now, and losing Aiden, I'm telling you guys, I'm a big Aiden fan. Losing him is gonna hurt. He's gonna hurt more than a lot of other people might think, because that's a big interior presence right there gone. First overall pick, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't think they can ever be back in the finals. Like just having Chris Paul and Devin Booker is not enough.
Do you think Devin Booker? Devin Booker's a weird player. He still has obviously so much career, but like
Yeah.
he's like, I mean, we're talking about a guy that's 4th in MVP voting, and I mean he's the Suns. He's his absolute offensive weapon. But I don't know if he'll ever. I feel like I feel like he could be a loyal type. I feel like I could see him being that, just being like, I'm just chilling with the Suns.
I could see that too, to be honest. But he has said in the past, I think before he said he wouldn't want to stay with the Suns unless we're not contending.
Okay.
I think they have. I really think they should try to keep Ayton. I don't know. How are they going to replace that void he leaves behind?
Bro, they literally said there's a report that said they're shopping around for centers that they believe can fill the gap that Ayton does, like basically match the same production. So that to me that says we don't value Ayton because we think his production isn't as much.
Can be found elsewhere.
Yeah, it can be found elsewhere, basically.
Yeah. Which
And this offseason is not like a center offseason.
No, it is not. There's a lot of like guards, right?
Exactly. And so by them saying that they have available options or people calling that they can match the Ayton, and Ayton is a what? Ayton is like at least a top 7 center in the league. So it's very, very interesting to see how they deal with that. But yeah. Anything else we have to say here, Vipin, other than Chris? We've been talking about these guys for 45 minutes, basically.
I didn't think it'd go this long, but I want to see Chris Paul have a ring before he retires. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think it'd be cool to see that. He's such a long-known league player. I think lots of players on the league love him, right? He's the leader of the player association or something, right?
That's CJ McCollum now.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. McCollum,
it was Chris Paul though, but I remember.
Yeah.
CJ McCollum is now.
Anyways, a lot of people just like him, right? He's just a well-known
I like
figure.
Chris Paul, yeah.
I like Chris Paul too. I think he's cool. So I'd like to see him win a ring, but I just don't think it'll happen with just the way his career is going and like how his team is looking. I think the Suns' contention window is over.
Fair enough, and I'm a hopeful. I'm not a Westbrook fan, but I am hoping that he does better next season, so he doesn't get slandered as much. I don't like to see certain individuals get slandered enough. If it's a new person that we're targeting, sure, because it's a new thing, right? But I don't want to see like Russ slander for 4 years, right? I'm not trying to see that.
You've seen it forever.
Yeah. So yeah, we still have a lot more gas in the tank for us for future videos, guys. And let us know in the comments down below anything you, I don't know, like, dislike, any changes, any recommendations, any kind of video ideas, anything at all. Go check out the what is it called? The Pure Buckets TikTok, which is a link in the description, as well as all of our socials. And with that being said, me and Vipin have more videos to record, so we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.